So I started my day with a couple of unimportant units which needed my attention. However, during the morning there were 12 overflights of Israeli aircraft. On one occasion, I went topside to see for myself. I waved to the Israeli pilot. He was so close I could see his face. He waved back in a friendly manner. I mean, the plane was plainly marked with Star David, and he waved his wings back and forth. And this happened 12 different times that we logged in our logbook. So, since we were so close to Egypt, it was comforting to know that the Israelis, our ally, were keeping an eye on us. Some of the crew, not me, was sunbathing. Aggressive, we were not. Now, I want to go back to that picture that I was starting to paint about the crew sunbathing. Keep in mind that we didn't have any gun mounts other than those 450 caliber machine guns, which were nothing more than for repel boarders. You couldn't. I mean, it was a defensive thing for. You couldn't defend the ship against aircraft or a destroyer or motor torpedo boats. I mean, it just they were just for simple repel boarders. The point I'm trying to make is this was a military ship, yes, but it was not an aggressive military ship. We didn't have cannons, missile launchers, torpedo launchers. And as I said, when the planes came over, and all you could see is antennas from stem to stern, and these people sunbathing. I mean, it was right out of the pages of McHale's Navy. Okay? And you know, as I said, since they were Israeli aircraft, we felt comfortable. Anyway, after I went topside, I came back to RR2. After I repaired the first unit, I was now looking at the second unit, which had been tagged for some time. And repairing the unit took me through lunch, which I discovered that a mechanical part was missing, and that was placed on back order, and nobody had told me. Since my normal working area and GQ location were the same, I worked through a GQ drill following lunch. When the drill was over, the captain came on the public address system, the 1MC, and indicated that he was very pleased with our quick response to the drill. We were very happy about that because he was giving us heck before then, and he was finally satisfied. However, in cautioning us to the seriousness of our situation, he indicated that gunfire ashore could be seen at a distance. So, since I was frustrated about the missing part, I decided to grab a smoke and a Coke and go topside to see what the captain was talking about. So now this is in the afternoon of the attack. So I got my cup of Coke in the mess hall, and I heard a dreadful sound. After just receiving a warning on the 1MC that the mechanics were going to test the Captain Giggs engine, I thought something was very wrong with the engine. The sound I heard came from the initial attack of 3 Israeli warplanes, unmarked, with their 20-millimeter cannons. Immediately, the GQ alarm sounded, and this time the annunciator indicated, and something that I'll never ever forget as long as I live, the term, "This is no drill." I ran to RR2 and awaited orders. It sounded like all hell had broken loose topside. Those of us in RR2 awaited orders. We were very lucky to be in RR2 because we were protected by many layers of steel before a rocket could come through into our spaces. Nonetheless, the explosive metal-to-metal sounds were blood-curdling. After what seemed to be forever, the jet attack ceased. Then the 1MC annunciator advised, prepare for a motor torpedo attack. We're now being attacked by 3 motor torpedo boats, MTBs, flying Israeli flags. I can't remember how many times, but there were 4 torpedoes that were launched at us that the captain avoided. And then another term that I'll never forget in my life, brace for our torpedo starboard side. This was the real McCoy. I mean, which meant the torpedo was going to hit us. The next event I'll never forget, as there was the loudest noise I have ever heard, and I was hurtling in the air. The torpedo explosion came from an area just forward of us on the other side of the ship. The ship finally swayed over to the port side and back to starboard. It finally settled in a 9-degree list to starboard. I could not believe we were still afloat. Master Chief Stan White then ordered us out of RR2. Those of us in the CT intercept spaces now proceeded to a corridor on the port side on the O1 level, assisting the wounded as we grouped together and awaited further orders. Not knowing the extent of the torpedo damage, we thought the ship was going to sink. At the moment, we dare not go topside as the MTBs were shooting at anything that moved. Another CT and I gave mouth-to-mouth resuscitation to our postal clerk, John Spiker, whose chest was riddled with shrapnel. He had a life preserver tightly wrapped around him to try and seal his chest. However, we could not save him, and he died in my arms. My Catholic training kicked in, and I baptized him and whispered an act of contrition in his ear. Next, we were told to prepare to abandon ship. Rounds of 3-inch armor-piercing shells continued along with bursts of 50 caliber machine gun fire could be heard. When all was said and done, 821 penetrations were counted. 821. Remember that number. Now we had to save the ship at all costs. At least that, I think, was in our captain's mind. The events during the attack were chaotic and bloody. The initial jet attack killed 4 sailors manning the forward 50 caliber machine guns. The rocket blew them out of the machine gun barrier emplacements, throwing body parts all over their forecastle area. The subsequent jet attack killed our executive officer, Lieutenant Commander Philip Armstrong, and 4 additional shipmates. Then jets returned, dropping napalm bombs port and starboard, igniting a 55-gallon gasoline drum. The superstructure of the converted World War II cargo ship was engulfed in flames. Firefighters were shot at trying to extinguish the fires, but we did put them out. We used up every single fire extinguisher that we could get our hands on. While this bloodbath was taking place, our engineering personnel kept propulsion systems and the ship operational as much as possible. Now, why I say I'm still alive today, okay? Because of him. While the attack was taking place, radiomen and electronic technicians were desperately trying to establish a communications link. They were hampered by 2 major problems. The Israelis were jamming U.S. Navy communications frequencies.
Okay.
If there's, go ahead.
We were